don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabelle, and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD, and today it's just me and Melissa. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, JD. Great to be here with you.
Hey, every day's a good day.
For sure.
Well, I'm really excited. The last time we came together and did a podcast, I think we were talking about our deal process from start to finish, and so we thought it would be a good idea to bring in and explain to you guys some of the systems we use. Now, there's a plenty of different systems to use. And there's some that are free, some that are inexpensive, and some that are a little bit more expensive. There isn't a right way or a wrong way to do it, and this is just our way to kind of give you an idea of what it is that we have going on. Some of these systems are a little bit redundant in our business, and we're always trying to look for new ways and better ways to do it. And Melissa helps out a lot with finding the better ways to do it. Isn't that right, Melissa?
That is so true. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So if you guys are receiving any value from this podcast, go ahead and like it, share it, smash the like button. I don't know what those kids say, but what we do need are more reviews, and we need more people listening so that we can spread our message and get some of this information out to some people who need to hear it. So like it and review it, or don't review it and just give us a 5-star. Do something.
Yeah, share it for sure.
Yeah, definitely share it. Okay, Melissa, I'm going to start our stopwatch. If we start to run long, we're going to cut the podcast and come in with the rest of the systems, because there's so many systems in here that there's a very good chance that we might run long on this podcast. But if we do, we will definitely come back with another one. All right, timer's on, Melissa. Where do we want to start?
Let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
So beginning could mean the mail, how we get our lists, how we even start, or it could mean our CRM. So
I think before a lead ever makes it to our CRM, it comes from somewhere, whether that's referral or off of some sort of marketing that we've done. And typically speaking, we are pulling lists and marketing to those lists through a variety of different ways. So I guess the way that we get the majority of our data is through PropStream and ListSource. And we don't have affiliate links or anything like that with any of these companies. We use them. We recommend them most of the time. But we're definitely not fully endorsing them. Just definitely make sure you do your own due diligence on the pricing guides and everything like that.
I'm a bigger fan of the PropStream myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I am too. And those guys are super helpful. And recently, PropStream's gotten a lot better than it was when it first started out. So that's increased our value. We use PropStream not to its full potential, because there's a million other things that it can do. But in regards to pulling lists, it's really easy to pull vacant lists, high equity lists, pre-foreclosure lists, tax liens, all of those kind of things. With just a couple of clicks of the button, we can find all those lists for our specific markets. And I think that's super beneficial. But some people pull different lists. You're not going to find your code enforcement violations for our area on PropStream, right? So there are some other manual lists that you need to go in and find. But for the most part, if we're doing mass lists on some of those broad sweeping categories, we can find everything we need from PropStream.
like you said, super quick. You can narrow your target down to just so specific. It's just crazy.
And the awesome thing about PropStream is because it's pretty much in every MLS in the country. It's pulling all that data from the county websites all across the country. It doesn't really matter where you're at in the United States. You can use it.
Yeah, and it's pretty current. I know I didn't want to dwell on just this one thing, but the other really good thing to me about PropStream is the ability to see like mortgages. And so that's huge for us, just to be able to see what people are owed when we're trying to see the equity part of their deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that kind of leads us. So once we get our list, we do a couple things with it. With PropStream, you can, because it pulls the county tax assessor website or records for our county, we can mail directly off that list and then just skip trace our return mail or skip trace the list for our text messaging and cold calling and stuff that we'll get into in a little bit. PropStream also has the ability to do that, but we haven't used it too much. And we typically go with BatchLeads skip tracing. We've had a lot of success with that company. Melissa, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, first, when we first started, because skipping is a big expense, we went with Bangladesh Bob on Fiverr, and we did that, and we found that worked, but we didn't get a good return on it. There was a lot that was bad info. So then we decided that if we were going to spend that much money in marketing, that we needed to be at have a better skip process. So then we moved over to BatchLead. And it's super simple. You just pull in your list, and I mean, they have it back to us skipped in 10, 15 minutes, I think. It's
kind of, so just a little bit to explain, like when we're talking about the quality, we're talking about the quality of the phone numbers attached to the person.
Yeah.
When we were using Bob off of Fiverr, we were paying right at, I think, 3 cents per skip, and there was some good connection rates there, and while we were starting out, it was working just fine. And when we're skipping our 40,000 person list, if you're looking at 3 cents per, that's a pretty good expense, but that's compared to BatchLead, where we're paying anywhere from 13 to 15 cents per name, and so that's a huge price difference. And now that we've been doing it for a little while, we've decided that it's worth it to do the one for the speed of the skip, and then two for the quality of the connections. The 15 cent per through BatchLead has been doing us a lot better than the other ones. But if I was just starting out, I don't think there's a problem using the 3 cent skip tracer off of Fiverr. It was relatively decent data.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So once we skip them, or if we don't, sometimes we don't need to skip them, but once we skip the addresses, we do a couple of different, we have a lot of different guerrilla marketing tactics, but the ones I want to really hit is our mailing, our text messages, and our cold calling and receiving our calls. So as far as our mailing, we run our mail two ways, right? We're either hand addressing the envelopes and writing a kind of a personal message to individuals that we're marketing to, or we're doing mass postcards. And we haven't really perfected how to systematize and automate the handwritten stuff yet. But as far as the postcards, we've found that Yellow Letters HQ does a phenomenal job for us of getting our stuff out on time with the right addresses and the right copy and everything. And those guys over there are pretty receptive. When you have problems or issues, you can call them up and they'll help you, walk you through it. And we've got a lot of extra value from using their company. Inside of Yellow Letter HQ, they have a list manager that we're able to stack our lists and upload them in there, delete all of our return mails, and do there's a lot of really cool features that operate with Yellow Letters HQ. So we're really happy with them. Yeah. Like I said, that's the mail house that we use. We are sending postcards and They're always.
Can I tell the one funny story? Because I always like to have people have our funny stories when we first started, and we were gonna do our first list when we first started, and we were gonna do it by hand and hand address the envelopes, and we had like 1,000 we were gonna do. And so, do you know which story I'm getting ready to tell?
No, go.
Okay. So I put on Craigslist because we're all doing our day jobs too. And so I just wasn't making a lot of traction. So I put on Craigslist, $50. I think it was like, we wanted like 250 or 500. It was like,
it was a small list. Yep.
Yeah, but it was a decent return for somebody. And so, so I get somebody and, they text me and they're super nice and, hey, yeah, I'll meet you wherever and I'll get them done tonight. And I'm like, super great. So meet me at Office Max here. And so we met and I bought the envelopes and they disappeared. And she never took the envelopes back and got the cash afterwards. And I know this because there was only a certain amount of colored envelopes. And I went back the next day because I couldn't believe somebody would do that. And they had told me that somebody returned them.
Yeah, that's great. So there's a couple morals there. One, know who you're doing business with, right? Not everybody is honest. And if there's only a certain amount of colored envelopes, make sure you get the ID or whoever you're hiring. At least you didn't pay her up front and give her the $50 first.
No, right. Yeah.
You were smarter than that. That was great. Yeah.
Yes.
That was super funny.
No.
And, it was funny now. I was really, really angry about it before.
I was super pissed, and I kept texting
How much
her.
did the envelopes cost?
They were like $49 because I had bought. It was like we bought the colored ones so that they would stick out, not just white.
Right.
And so I bought a lot. I bought everything that the store had in them. It was like I think it was like $49 worth of envelopes. I was so mad.
Yeah, that doubled our marketing cost that month.
Yes, right.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I got you off track. I just always like people to know that it's not all
right. Yeah, and we learned, but and that contributes to why we're not able, or we haven't cracked the code on automating the handwritten stuff. So right now, a lot of the handwritten ones, either Melissa's doing, or I'm doing, or sometimes we employ our spouses and significant others and children, grandchildren sometimes to do it. Okay, so now we use that list that we've skipped and we do the mailing and that stuff. But we also, as soon as we drop the mailing, we start texting the numbers that we've got back on the skip. And we currently are using BatchLeads, again, the same people that skip the data for us, and we're doing text messaging through them. It's pretty simple process. That it is a little bit frustrating because they have some specific rules to keep you out of the spammer jail. But because I'm not a very creative person, it's difficult to meet those rules. Like you have to have 10 different messages that you send out on multiple different phone numbers so that you don't get marked as spam, and the cell phone carriers don't pull your nice cat. So cell phone carriers don't pull your phone number and mark it as a potential spam.
And the words, there's words you cannot use.
Right. Yeah. They're strongly discouraged words to use in the first initial text. And we got to skirt around them. Like, you're not allowed to say sell or offer or a whole bunch of words that you use if you were trying to get somebody to sell you the house over a text message.
Right.
So I'm not sure, there's a couple other good companies out there. Lead Sherpa is another one. And there's some other, I can't endorse one over the other. BatchLeads is just the one that we've used first, and it started working for us right away. So we don't really have anything negative to say about it, but whether or not it's the best one, the kind of verdict's still out on that.
But the verdict is in that the first day we started text messaging, we bought a lot and a duplex. So
Right. Yeah. So it definitely works, and we
Yeah.
know that there was proof of concept first day. So that was nice. And
I'll always remember it because I was sitting in my bathroom office putting on makeup with my computer in front of me, and then we just started doing it, and it was like, not that house, but I have a duplex. Great.
yeah,
We'll be over.
yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah. Now, law of averages, I'm sure that's going to hurt us in the long run. When then the next 10,000 texts don't do anything. But
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a little bit better response rate than what I expected from text to begin with.
And just as a side note, not everyone responds nicely or stop texting me. We have lots of good voicemails that have been left and texts.
I think maybe one day we should do I'm afraid, like, I'm pretty sure we couldn't do a podcast because of how explicit some of these text messages and voicemails are. But I think it would be fun if maybe we figured out a way to string them all together and like bleep them out and just play them and read them and do that kind of stuff. Because we have come across some character. So from now on, I'm going to save all of the bad text messages and voicemails that we get so we can do some sort of blooper reel.
Yes.
I think that'll be funny. People have a bad day and sometimes we catch the brunt of it, or at least our answering machine does.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So, well, I mean, kind of, since we're talking about some of those messages, one of the things that we use to capture messages and to capture phone numbers is CallRail. We have a bunch of different numbers set up for our different marketing channels. And when somebody calls in on 555-555 number, we know that correlates with our probate listing. Or if they call the other number, we know that that's our high equity lien list and stuff like that. And that system's CallRail. CallRail is one that we probably underutilize as well, but it does a really good job of tracking our metrics. It lets us know how many calls. When we drop a big mail campaign, we can see how many calls come in off of that. And then from that point, it's our job to track, whether they're a lead, whether they're taking me off your list, or whether they turn into a contract and a deal. But it does help us with kind of judging the quality of our campaign. And if we're getting a lot of responses, we know we did something right. And if we don't get a lot of calls right away, then we know we probably did something wrong.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the CallRail. It's really user friendly, and you can direct those phone lines like all over to my cell phone number, or JD's, or whatever, or to an office main line. So it's really cool, the abilities that gives us to do.
One of the tracks that we like to do is we'll have the initial call come into either our call center or our call capture. And then if that doesn't pick up right away, then it'll ring to Annabelle's phone and then to Melissa's phone, so that we're never missing a phone call.
Right.
And that's, beneficial. And you can set it up any way you want.
Yeah.
If you want it to go to your phone during these hours and you want it to go to your answering service, while you're at work or something like that, that's what makes it so awesome. Tracking your data all the time.
And it sends you an email so that call came in. And then every morning, the next morning, it'll give you all the stats from the previous 24 hours. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the other thing is it's another step to make sure that you're not missing, it's kind of a fail safe. So even if you don't answer the call for whatever reason, it still captures that phone number so that you're able to call it back. And because it sends you that report, so if you forgot about it, because you're in the middle of your day doing, doctor's appointments or getting your hair cut, whatever, I don't know, pre-COVID, you did lots of stuff, but it'll send you that message the next day. You remember it. I forget stuff all the time. So I really like that aspect of it, is just constantly keeping everything up so that nothing slips through the cracks. So now that's something that helps us monitor our inbound calls, but we also use cold calling. That's one of our, that's probably our number one marketing source. That's what we put the most time and effort into. And we do that through an auto dialer called XenCALL. And XenCALL has been phenomenal for us. And the more that we learn about it, the better we like it. Essentially with XenCALL, you upload your skipped list into XenCALL, and then you can set priorities for whatever that list is. And when you have your team members or yourself sitting in to start calling, the machine auto dials up to 3 lines. And when somebody answers, it connects the call right away to you. And then you can run through your script. You can do all of the, whatever your process is. And then you can classify that lead into a couple different ways. And as soon as you're done and you've ended the call, it starts dialing again. And like you said, it'll dial up 3 lines constantly. And really there's no downtime, and if you're getting really good at managing your calls and doing stuff, you can speed those calls up so that, there's 30 seconds in between calls as opposed to, a minute or a minute and a half in between calls. It really it's super customizable. You can manage everything. I think the best thing is you can manage it as a manager from your computer. You can manage what lists your people are calling from. You can manage, you can see what they're doing. You can listen in onto their calls if you want to listen in to their call, and you can talk to them. Whisper in is what it's called, where you can talk to them and address them without the person on the other line hearing. So like if you're doing your training and stuff, there's a lot of really cool technical things that help out with that. And that's more for a team. But I think even if you were just going to cold call yourself, it's worth it to have that dialer, because then you're not manually entering in, and you're not making all these phone calls from your cell phone. If cold calling was
and whatever information you're putting in, so when that call connects, they know the person who's on knows that address.
Oh yeah,
and so that's huge. So then you're sitting here knowing what property that you're talking about with them.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. When the call connects, it pulls up a property profile that has their name, their address. You can load the scripts into the system so that the script pops up and that you can just read it right off. And everything, it makes it super smooth. And I guess the best part is all of your calls are recorded. And so there's really, if there's funny things happening, that's great. But if you want to train your people, or if you want to see how good you do, you can go back and listen to them afterwards. And you're like, oh man, as soon as I said that guy got angry and I could feel him start to pull back. But during the middle of the call, I didn't catch that. And being able to take a step back outside of the conversation and look back at the phone call and what was going on has been really, really beneficial for the way that we write our scripts, the way that we come up with the ways that we overcome objections, all of that kind of stuff it's really awesome.
Training for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we go over the calls. Well, I listen. JD goes over the calls with the callers, and so helps to teach them a better way to do it or a different way.
Right. And I guess, so all of our mentors say, if you don't follow a process, then you don't know where you're messing up, right? But once we start following a process and we're making the calls the same way, we're able to adjust different pieces of that and fix it and find out what works best and what doesn't work quite so well. But if we weren't recording those calls, we would never hear it. And everything would be a lot worse, because I can tell somebody, hey, this is what you need to say, but then at the end of the day, if you're not making them follow that script, they're going to start to deviate from it and do what they want, which is okay to a certain extent, but really we want to follow a process so that we can improve that process or figure out where it's broken if we're starting to see a decline in conversions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Also, just as a final note on that, just when they are leads that turn into potential deals that we're interested in, JD and I will go back and listen to them again so that we can help format an offer to present.
Yeah, that's great because not everybody takes really good notes, and sometimes an acquisitions person that is making phone calls and then going out to the properties, what makes them a good acquisitions agent doesn't necessarily make them a good person at taking notes. And so having the ability to go back and review those calls and there's been a couple of times where somebody had said, well, I would take 100,000 for the house, but I still owe 60,000. Well, when we went back and listened to it, what he said was he wants to make 100,000 on it, and he still owes 160,000. Like, that's a huge difference. You're talking $260,000 as opposed to $100,000. And him making 30. So when we're able to go back and listen to it and get clarification, it's been very, very helpful.
True.
So now once we either have the marketing from our handwritten letters or our Yellow Letter HQ postcards or text messages or cold calls, when we capture that lead data, we put it into our CRM, and that's customer relations management, I think. I don't know. CRM. Anyways, it's the way that we manage all of our stuff. It's the way that we manage our leads. It's how we track our follow-up. And the one that we use is Propelio, which it just underwent a major change, but I think now I hated it at first. I absolutely hated the change that they had. But now after we've worked it, for a little bit, I think it was definitely better now than it was before. So I'm glad Melissa didn't let me fire them, because I was so furious when they changed it. But essentially, Propelio is a system where you're able to look up a property and then take notes on that individual property. It also provides a lot of data for you, but it's a way for us to track the property, keep our notes up to date so that whoever's working with that particular homeowner or that whole deal situation, whatever it may be, has the same information from person to person. In our company, if it's not written in Propelio, then it didn't happen. And that's kind of the way we like to use it. We also have the ability to do a to-do list and set up different tasks and follow-up tasks, and we're able to put a couple fail safes in there where Melissa's getting tagged on everything so that we don't ever lose track of a deal.
It's also great because it gives you the comps, and it gives you sold, listed houses all in that area, and you can refine that to be a half a mile to 2 miles. And we use it a lot for the comp part, and the pictures. It'll have the MLS pictures in it as well.
Yeah, a Google Street View they do a lot of times for the properties that we're looking at. And really, the comps is probably the number one thing that I like from it. It's not the best out there, but it really is beneficial. And you can modify, your search radius. You can modify how many years back you're going, and it really makes it simple. It's not a fail-safe though. We still look for our data and confirm it, match it up against MLS sources, or confirm it with a real estate agent in our market, or pull it off the sales data from Zillow, because we have seen some discrepancies from time to time, and it's always good to have multiple opinions so that you can get as close to the accurate value as possible. I don't know. Propelio is probably the number one system, and if we lost Propelio, we would be royally messed up. I don't think. But it's a simple system. Really, it's just like your yellow notebook or whatever it is that you used to keep notes in. It's just kind of a digital way of doing that. And I don't think we're necessarily giving it the justice that it deserves, because it does a ton for our business, but it's simple and it's effective, and I can access it. The other thing that's cool is it updates in real time. So me and Melissa could be working on the same property profile at the exact same time, and she'll see the updates that I'm making as soon as I click on it.
Yep.
And because our team is geographically separated a lot of the time, that's a really awesome, beneficial feature that we have going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's see. We talk about a whole bunch, but I guess really we use a couple other systems with that CRM process. We store all of our files. If we take pictures, if we take videos or anything like that, we store it on Dropbox, which is just a cloud-based hosting platform. It's just where we hold all of our documents, and so that a shared drive essentially. What else? You want to talk about how we use Zoho, Melissa?
Zoho is our email, what we use for our email, as well as our calendaring. I've been real happy with them. The calendar, we can share calendars, so we can have our individual ones between us, or just our personal ones, as well as the shared one with the group, so we always know what's going on with everybody.
Right, and that's the way that we schedule individual appointments for property inspections. It's the way that our staff lets us know which days that they're going to be at work and which days that they need off. It's literally the schedule for our entire company. And I don't think the only time we've ever had problems with Zoho or the Zoho calendar system is when it's been user error and a person not putting the appointment in at the proper place or time, but
Right.
everything else has worked great with it. So once we get our property all the way through from our starting at our list, through the skip, through some sort of marketing channel, into our CRM, and we put it under contract. We use a couple of different things to put them under contract, and ways to do that, especially in the COVID environment. Melissa, what does that look like?
Well, I used to use DocuSign, but it was not as user-friendly as I thought the Adobe version of it was. They're priced about the same, but the Adobe version, you didn't have to upload all of that. You could just take your file, fill it out, and then just make it into a PDF, and it emails straight. And then you see when somebody gets it, just like DocuSign. I just felt like that worked better for us. I know lots of people love DocuSign, but I thought the Adobe version of it was way better.
Yeah. I think that as we see a lot more of the world, or at least our country, going virtual, we're going to start to see some more products come out with that.
Yeah.
For right now, the Adobe signature is working, but I'm sure they're going to have something better come out soon. So once we get that contract signed, we're still saving everything into Dropbox, like I said, but we immediately start marketing the property for disposition. And what are the systems that we're using to push that out, Melissa?
Okay, so we store all of our buyers in it's MailChimp. And so I know a lot of people that are in the real estate investment world use that. And that, again, we don't use that to its full capability as well either. Right now, we just use it to store all the information for our buyers. And then JD is able to build out from there an email that will go out just to our preferred buyers with pictures and description, price, and that kind of information. That's
it. I've heard mixed reviews on MailChimp from everybody, and for some reason, people that are doing a lot of email marketing and stuff, which that's something that we don't really do, but a lot of people that use it for email marketing say that MailChimp has kind of not been too friendly to real estate investors. So I'm not sure if I could recommend it for the email marketing when you're looking for sellers and that kind of stuff, or marketing to a big list. But our preferred buyers list of 150 people or whatever, we haven't had any problems with
210.
that.
210.
What's that?
210.
210. Okay, 210. 100. Melissa manages that part, and she knows it better than I do.
I have found that the open rate seems to be not as great as we would like it to be, and it tends to, some of those go into people's spam folders. And so that's the downfall of that. So we do a follow-up after that. And the cool thing is it lets you see who opened it and who didn't open it, and which is pretty cool.
And how many clicks that they clicked on, how many times they clicked your pictures link,
Yeah.
let you know.
Yeah.
And some of the ways that we've used that information is, if we haven't got any offers right away, but we go back and we see that somebody has clicked on the picture link 7 times, then we might reach out to them and call them directly and say, hey, I just want to make sure you saw our new property. Yeah, we're flexible on the price, or whatever the case may be, to see if it's something that they're interested in. And a lot of times when we're talking about our buyers, it's not that they're not interested in the property. I just guess they need a little prodding or like permission to put an offer in or something. What we've seen is that a lot of times our first email doesn't get a lot of traffic, but that additional follow-up where we refer them back to the email we sent, we get a lot of our interest off of those pieces of it. I'm not sure why. Just we got bigger things to do. I don't know.
Yeah. And a lot of times we're doing that through our own individual emails and not going through MailChimp.
Yeah.
So the open rate has been better. So MailChimp's great. I'm not like sold on it. I mean, I think there's a lot of room for improvement on it.
Yeah, definitely. And as we start to expand our lists and, some of our blog content and that kind of stuff, I think we might either look to use it to its fullest extent, or maybe look to move on to something else. I'd say the jury's definitely still out on that.
I definitely agree.
But we do use that for our preferred buyers list. But recently, a lot of our buyers have come after we've already sent that email out and not got a whole lot of traction. And then we either go to Facebook Marketplace, or Craigslist. And those two platforms are super easy. Anybody can use it. If you're doing only, a couple, I think, is it once every 3 months you can post the on Craigslist for free, or once every 6 months or something?
Annabelle's the expert on that. I do not remember that.
Yeah. Well, basically, if you're doing this all the time and you're doing a lot of deals, then Craigslist is going to cost you $5 a pop. But if you're getting a $15,000 or $20,000 wholesale fee off of a buyer you find on Craigslist, it's not going to matter. Even if you're getting a $3,000 wholesale fee, it's not going to matter if you find your buyers off Craigslist. $5 to post it for how many ever weeks is great. So we do use that, and as long as you if you're, the idea is they don't want businesses come on there and use it for free. So you get one free one, and then you have to pay, the $5 or whatever it is after that. But it's worked really good for us. And with Craigslist, one of the tricks that we do is we don't necessarily believe in a lot of the unethical ghost posts or anything like that. But what we have done is we'll leave our current properties up there until they close. And once they're under contract, we let everybody know that, hey, we currently have it under contract, but if you want to submit a backup offer, we're always accepting backup offers until the day of close. And leaving that property up there on Craigslist for, I guess it's been 3 weeks that we've had these most recent properties under contract. We've picked up a lot of buyers to our buyers list from leaving that up and getting to have conversations with other investors that are actively looking for deals. I think that's been a huge benefit.
Totally
what
agree.
we have going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
we were definitely underutilizing Craigslist.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to figure out ways to keep doing it. And at first we were using it just for seller marketing, but we didn't have very much traction on that. So we kind of gave up on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And then recently we started using it. Oh, not recently, but in the relatively recent past, we started using it for selling our properties, and that's generated a lot more interest for our business overall. And then Okay, so now we've gone from our list all the way through our marketing, through our CRM, through our dispositions. And after we get paid, we could talk about our systems, our bank accounts, but we don't have very many good experiences on that piece. But one of the things that Melissa handles completely is the accounting software and stuff. Melissa, you want to talk about that stuff?
Yeah, I am a big believer in QuickBooks. I think most people utilize that if they're doing their own books. It's super user friendly, and you're able to track every expense, and then just makes it that much easier when it comes tax time. So, and a lot of we also didn't talk about Slack, and so yeah, it just made me think of that when I was thinking about QuickBooks. But definitely. I have nothing but great things to say about QuickBooks.
How does QuickBooks work? What are we doing? We're tracking all of our expenses, all of our income. Because of the way our partnership is arranged, we're tracking capital contributions and not draws. What do you call it when you get paid? I don't know.
Draws. It would be draws. Yes.
So,
yeah. Payroll. Employee, it does all the taxes for me. You used to have to look all that stuff up and do it, and it's just automatically done now. So you're just putting in your employees' hours, putting in your contractors, and then it'll automatically tickle for a 1099 to be done at the end of the year. So you don't have to, worry about all those extra things that you need to do. So definitely, I am a big fan of QuickBooks.
And what is QuickBooks cost per month?
Oh, I think with payroll, it's like $35 or $40. Might be. I'm sorry. It's somewhere between 40 and 72.
Under $100 though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it used to be a desktop version, and now it's an online, version. So that's where that price went up.
Yeah.
Because it used to be you just pay $3.99 for QuickBooks Pro, and you bought the disc, and that was the end of it. But now,
subscription based, so they can get you.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, do you think that would be a beneficial thing for a new investor to have if they are doing deals, or is it something that's only beneficial because we run it like a business and have employees and that kind of stuff?
I mean, if you probably just starting out, you can just do it all manually with the checkbook.
At what point do you think it's at what point do you think that you have to get to before it's beneficial?
I mean, if you're doing more than a couple deals, I would probably make sure I had some kind of system.
We don't want to ever be caught short when it comes to the taxman on the back end because you weren't doing or taking care of your stuff the right way.
Right. Yeah. And it just gets away from you. And that's why it's just better to have a system.
Right. When you're doing your own books, procrastination is not your friend.
Yes. No, right. Definitely. And what's cool, just one more thing about it is, every day I go in and I upload everything that's happened at the bank. So, I know what's come through, what's cleared, or if somebody's overcharged us for something or whatever. And so it just pulls it all in. So, if I write it, if Annabelle buys something for the short-term rentals, or I pay for something for the contractors, like at Home Depot or something, it automatically pulls it in. And so then I can make sure I didn't miss anything, and it's accounted for and it's put in the right place.
Right.
Every day. You don't have to do it every day. It's just my thing. It's
that's part of your cycle.
Yes, it is.
So now the thing that you mentioned that kind of ties all of this together, it goes from all of our communication throughout our company we run on Slack, and I know that there's a paid or a pro version and a regular version. Did we ever figure out what the difference was? Because
you can video chat and stuff on the paid version.
We didn't do that.
So we don't need to do that.
Okay. So essentially Slack is just another messaging app that allows you to set up different threads, and it allows you to communicate with your team inside. So the way we use it, if it's business stuff and communication between our team, we put it in Slack. If it's not business stuff, if it's, hey, who's picking up the pontoon boat next Saturday, we'll just text it. But if it's, hey, who is who is going over to sweep the
Ants.
sweep the ants.
Floor.
Right. We'll put it in Slack.
Yeah. And it's cool because you can set it up like we have ours set up like issues. So anytime somebody has an issue, they put it in there. Then there's a training one. I mean, you can make it however you want, but we have a training one and then an in and out, so people can check in and out for the day or when they're going to lunch. And you can really break it down as much as you want, or just individual messages between people.
Right. And if you're managing a property, if you're managing a flip, right, you could create a category just for 123 Main Street, and then all of the communication for that property would be found inside of that thread, so that you don't have to search, for 6 hours on your text messages how much you paid the contractor to do the roof. You would just be able to go right there.
And you can just put a picture in there. So like if JD wasn't here, I could just upload a quick picture of what's gone on today, and then it's there. And so we can just follow that whole thread. It's searchable, so it's free. So
yeah, it's really good. I know a lot of other investors and really a lot of other small business with employees use it. It's a good way to disseminate information. Being geographically separated, we don't get to have a Monday morning or a daily sales meeting, but every single day we're dropping some sort of training into the Slack app so that everybody can watch it. We can have a discussion about it in the app and talk about how we can apply that training to today's calls or today's appointments, and that's a super beneficial thing for us. Again, being geographically separated, we can operate this without actually have to be there live and in person. I always think that training in person is probably the best way to go about it if you can, but some of these technological tools that we have really made the difference in our business, I think.
Yes, totally, for sure.
All right. Well, that was like 44 minutes, so I probably should have cut it off. Annabelle's going to be upset. But is there anything else, Melissa, that maybe we didn't hit that we should have, that you can think of?
The only thing is that we didn't talk about with XenCALL is we have a daily goal set for how many connect calls that our team makes, and that tracks that as well as their time on the phone, just a side note on XenCALL.
And that really helps you manage. And I know a lot of people that use virtual calling teams, they're able to set it up so that they're only paid for their hours that they were actually logged in and actively using XenCALL at the time. So there's a lot of ways to really track all of that data. Again, probably a little bit underutilized, but it's serving the purpose. And as we know more or learn more, we do better. And as we do better, we'll make sure to share it with all of you guys. If you have any questions about any of the systems that we identified today, or you want to tell us about a system that you have that does better, please let us know. We're always looking for better ways to run our business. And if you need any, if you can't find any of these systems, let us know and we'll get you the links.
And if you need a laugh, just text me or email me, and I will drop you some of our voicemails.
The voicemails that we can't put on this podcast because they're too explicit.
Because sometimes when we're in a bad mood, we just play one at the beginning of our meetings.
Just to let us know how much we're loved. Well, with that, if you enjoy this podcast, please share it, like us, follow us, and give us a good rating so that we can get our message out there. Melissa, thank you for your time.
Thank you, JD. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, check out our website, shorefrontrestorations.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Shorefront Restorations. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at info@shorefrontrestorations.com. See you next episode.